5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's a pretty nice looking Wednesday, a little bit overcast, right? But nobody's complaining. It's kind of one of those Wednesday autumn things that even if it is Florida, we're still like, okay, we want to be included on this whole autumn thing. So this is our way of having an autumn. Angie Hallier is on the phone. She's the founder and managing partner of Hallier and Lawrence PLC law firm. She was named a super lawyer every year since 2007 by superlawyers.com. She is the recipient of the Top 10 Attorney Award from the National Academy of Family and Law Attorneys. Wow, she's got a lot of things on this list. She's on the top lawyers list of AZ Business Magazine and Best Family Law Attorney. Wow. In Phoenix, it looks like. She's written a book. It is called The Wiser Divorce. I'm divorced.
Yeah.
It's been a few years. It's been a lot of years, actually. And I guess if anybody were to ask me, I would say, first of all, don't get divorced. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
No.
However, sometimes it's simply going to happen. I think the advice that Angie gives in the book is dead on, though. I mean, she really is making sense. And I'll tell you what, it's such an emotionally charged event that you never wished would happen to you. I mean, if you're being beaten up by your husband or something like that, you got to have it. There's no question about it. But sometimes there are divorces. I know a couple, and you know them, Robin. They're both divorced, and when they get together, they're like best friends. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks or something. Yeah. I guess I don't know them really, but it looks like they get together. They get along on stage anyway. Mm-hmm. But I know these two, and they do. And I never asked, but why didn't you stay married? I mean, you seem to get, everybody's got their own reasons. The book is called The Wiser Divorce. The subtitle is really what says it all, though. Positive Strategies for Your Next Best Life. Angie Hallier. Good morning, Angie.
Oh, good morning.
Thank you for being on the air with us. Are you in Phoenix?
I'm in Phoenix, yes.
Well, thank you for getting up early with us to do this. Are you divorced?
Yes, I am. But I have a great second husband, part of my next best wife.
Oh, there you go. And I have no next wife. I never got remarried, and I think it's a good life. You know what? I didn't want it to happen for me, and I'm not to drag my story into your conversation, but just to kind of make your point, whatever we decide to do afterwards, you can make it into a good thing.
That's absolutely right, and one of the main reasons I wrote this book, because after almost 25 years of handling people's divorces, I know what strategies can make your divorce go surprisingly right or horribly wrong, but I also know that what you do during that divorce process will have a profound impact on the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's true, especially if there are children involved, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, children need to come first in any divorce, and it's really hard for people to do that at a time when their emotions are running so high. So, you just really have to remember that you made these children likely out of love, and you owe them the gift of continuing to see their parents get along, at least in front of them.
And you stress in your book that it's not just one-sided, because it usually is everybody takes sides with the woman and says how the guy is such a deadbeat and all, but that's not how it happens. The guy can be the most wonderful person in the world, and it's the woman that's the bad guy. And you're opening up people's eyes to accept that fact that it's each individual. It's not just one gender over the other.
Right. It is not a good strategy to look at the divorce as a way to make somebody pay for the wrongs you thought they committed during the marriage. And, many times there isn't really a good guy and a bad guy or girl. Lots of times you have two really great, wonderful people who just shouldn't be married to each other anymore. And it's important as you process your divorce to also look at what were the good things that came from the marriage. And sometimes that's hard to do in the midst of a divorce. But if you stop and think about what were the gifts you got from the marriage that you could carry forward, you can start to look at this a little differently.
That is so wise. I remember reading that part of your book and thinking that's a hard one for somebody to be honest with. And I know you're not a psychologist, and maybe a psychologist could explain why we even get divorced in the first place. But I think your advice, because bottom line is if we're going to go through this process anyway, there is a better way to do it than what many of us do, often fueled by emotions.
absolutely right. And I do kind of play a psychiatrist during my divorce work as an
bet.
attorney.
I bet you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you really have to move the emotion aside. Look at this strategically. Ending a marriage is just really ending a business contract or a contract the state gave you. You have to think about it almost like athletes do. What's the strategies? Who will I surround myself with? What will it take for me to go through this good? Who am I going to talk to about it? All of those things that you do when you're an athlete or ending a business relationship.
I'm going to share something about mine so that you can comment on it. I didn't get a lawyer right away. I thought, why would I need a lawyer? I'll just be honest to the judge, and I'll just tell him how I feel, and everybody be fair with me, right? Mm-hmm. Well, my wife got a lawyer.
Yeah.
And the lawyer was not nice about me, not nice to me. And I'm going to give you an example of one thing that still stings when I think about it. She said to him, Your Honor, he's in radio. And I thought, well, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, right.
What does that mean, on the scum of the earth?
Yeah, exactly.
So later on, I asked her in the parking lot, I said, why did you say that? I kind of knew the lady, okay? So I was like, why did you do that to me? She said, that's my job. My job is to, well, hello there.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought it was so I got a lawyer right away.
Yeah.
After that, I said, forget it.
Wasn't right.
I'm outdone here. I got somebody who can talk to the judge and let him listen. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so unfortunate because good lawyers don't look at their job like that. Good lawyers are your strategic ally who understand that making this a war is going to, A, leave you both with a lot less money to go on after the divorce. It's going to cost you emotional well-being. And so good attorneys, and we talk about this in the book, are these strategic allies. They're not the beat the drums, go to war, because that really can ruin. I mean, I've seen divorces go horribly wrong when the wrong attorney gets involved and makes it a war.
Well, thank you. The spouse or soon-to-be ex-spouse of whoever you represent is lucky that his or her spouse got you.
Exactly.
That's what I think. That's what I think, listening to what he said. Yeah.
Well, but you need those kind of attorneys on both sides. So you have to be, one of your strategies is what attorney are you going to choose? What will they do for you? Will they help you prioritize things? Will they talk to you about ways to avoid going to court? Because that's the worst outcome. That's the thing we don't want to happen, is to have to go in front of a judge and let someone you don't even know decide your life.
Can I ask you a personal question? Just
yes.
I guess for the sake of this conversation, because I can share notes with you on mine too. As you were going through the divorce that you went through, your personal one, do you still look back at that and have this like numbing moment in your memory? It was like numb for me. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, it was. I talk about this in the book. My divorce was a real turning point. I had not finished college. I had not gone to law school. I had a very young child, and I had an abusive husband.
Oh, well, then you needed to get out of there.
I needed to get out of there, but it really was a turning point because I had to reassess my life. I have a small child, a no good ex-husband, and I don't have a good way to make money. And so it really, all those things I experienced in that divorce are really what propelled me to where I am today.
And sometimes abuse isn't the factor, whereas just one partner might just not want to be married anymore, and then they try to paint the other person, the other spouse, out as the bad person, and all they want is to say, well, it's not my fault, I got to end the marriage, and then they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough. It really is tough when you're the person who got left and you didn't expect it.
Exactly.
I mean, and this does happen. It happens still frequently. But after the person who was left and is stunned, and maybe the first 5 times I see them are crying, they really learn that, they were missing things in this marriage. They weren't getting the emotional intimacy. They didn't have someone to talk to. They really weren't living their own life to its fullest when you have a spouse who's not into it.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on a mediator? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? If one of the two, if the person who wants the divorce is hell-bent on getting it, does a mediator actually play a role? In other words, the person who doesn't want the divorce hopes that the mediator changes that person's mind. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Well, good mediators, their job is to let you end this marriage contract in a way that each of you can live with. It may not feel exactly fair. It may not be everything you want. But with mediation, you can prioritize what's most important to you. You can't do that at court. So mediation is great because when both people agree on what the final outcome will be, they are happier about it. I mean, again, going to court with a judge who doesn't know you, who hears maybe 3 hours of information about a 15-year marriage, how much good are they going to do either party? And somebody's going to come out of that court case unhappy. So mediators are crucial to ending marriages wisely.
I hope that you, the listener, is not going through a divorce right now. But if you are, and it's not so unusual, it happened to me, it happened to our guest, and it's not so unusual. So if you are, the good advice is really golden. This book does give you some golden advice. It is called The Wiser Divorce, Positive Strategies for Your Next Best Life. I love that subtitle. Angie Hallier is the author, and she's our guest. And we'll be right back after we take a look at this or listen to this weather. And we'll be right back. Thank you for holding on, Angie. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, intervals of clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm around, mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior sections, high 84 to 88. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, low 71 to 75. For tomorrow, some sun along with a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms, mainly during the afternoon hours, high tomorrow between 84 and 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Okay, easy. All right, set her down. Over there. Easy.
What are you doing?
Oh, honey, you're home early. Nothing.
Really? Because it looks to me like you've torn up the entire yard with this giant tractor.
Not all of it. There is a small section over there I didn't
That's
get.
not even funny. Why are you tearing up my yard?
Well, the sprinkler head broke.
So you thought it was a good idea to fix it with a huge tractor?
Well, not at first, but then when I tried to fix it, I hit the main line. Thought it would be a good idea
You thought all of this was a good idea? Here's an idea. Why don't you just call Mike Scott Plumbing? It's that easy. In fact, let me help you out with that. 237-2888.
But it's the weekend.
I know. They don't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. Remember the commercials? If water runs through it, they do it. And they're already on their way. So get this monstrosity out of my yard.
On next week's episode of What Not to Do.
A crane? Really?
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
I'm Major George Patterson from the Salvation Army. Please stop by our family store at 120 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala, where on Wednesday you have a 50% off clothing and bric-a-brac. On Friday, 25% off furniture and large appliances. And on Saturday, stop by to our yard sale from 8:45 to 11. Donations can be made by calling 352-732-4469 and we'll pick it up. Funds from the store go toward the services that we provide in Marion County.
WOCA Business Leaders Incorporated is a group of independent local firms providing a wide range of quality goods and services. Each firm strives to maintain the highest level of professional integrity and 100% customer satisfaction. When you're looking for goods and services, call a member of the WOCA Business Leaders, and we are confident you will be pleased with the results. If you're interested in becoming a member of the WOCA Business Leaders, join us at the Ocala Elks Lodge, 25th Avenue in Ocala, any Wednesday at 7 a.m. and enjoy a breakfast on us. For more information, call 804-3700.
All right, 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. We are talking about divorce. There is a book here in the studio that we're talking about. It's called The Wiser Divorce. It's written by Angie Hallier, who's our guest on the phone out in Phoenix, Arizona. Positive Strategies for Your Next Best Life is the subtitle, and that says a lot. Angie Hallier, good morning again. Is it autumn in Phoenix, or is it still summertime out there?
You know, at 6 o'clock this morning, I put a very light jacket on.
Oh, you did?
Thin, but yeah.
It's kind of like Florida.
It might have been only 80 degrees. I don't know.
Oh no. That's kind of like the way it is here. So, what do you think about? And does a lawyer even have a role in this question? The trial separation.
You know, I do talk a little bit about it, and it's not pure legal advice, but, you know, trial separations are okay. You know, sometimes people need that to really see if this is really the path they want to go down, divorce. And I have had people come in and they file either legal separation or divorce as part of that trial. And, you know, I've actually seen it where people go, oh, my gosh, it's really come to this divorce. We've got to get back together. And they do. So, you know, not always when you separate or file does it mean it's going to end, you know, in a divorce. But a lot of people come in and they're ready to leave.
Yeah. Do you mostly represent women?
You know, my firm is usually 50-50. My firm as a whole, we have 7 attorneys. It's usually split down the middle. Some men, some women, just depends on the time of the year.
How do you counsel the men and the women that have children? I know you touched on this earlier, but sometimes the women will use the children as leverage and say, if you don't give me X number of dollars, you're only going to see your child a couple days a month.
Yeah, or the opposite. I mean, one of the things that sometimes the man, the wage earner, does is say, you better agree to the money I'm going to give you or I'll take the kids half the time. And, you know, both parents have something to add to the children, obviously. And, you know, all the studies show different things that moms give to kids that are important and that dads give to kids that are important. You know, what I counsel people is first, you have to tell them together. It is crucially important that they get the same message from both parents about the divorce, that they don't need to worry, that they'll still be loved, even though life is going to look a little bit different, because a child should still feel this is their family. The family may live in different homes, but feeling that family is still there, even if it looks differently, is really important to a child. And, you know, don't talk about the other parent poorly. Don't let other people do it in front of the kids. I mean, you have to protect your children during this time.
I don't know much about the law, and just because I was divorced doesn't mean I even understand divorce law, and I don't even understand it in Florida, but across the country, in the 50 different states, do we have different laws? And specifically, I guess I wanted to know is, are there some laws that actually look at fault before they decide who gets what in a divorce? Or, like in Florida, I don't think there's a fault-ish issue, but I don't know if that's true across the country.
Right. Well, no longer in any of the states do you have to prove fault on the side of one person to get the divorce. But yes, there are still states, it's not Arizona, but there are still a few states where bad acts can impact the allocation of assets and debts.
Bad acts, like hitting somebody, you mean? That kind of thing?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting, yeah, or you know, stealing money or having spent money as you shouldn't, but there aren't that many states left that do that.
Oh, okay.
And the assets is one of the issues. Are prenuptial agreements as prevalent today as they were years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I still see them a lot, and they are really enforceable. It's rare to have a premarital agreement that isn't enforceable, and sometimes they're really unfair. I mean, especially I counsel people if they're younger and for instance the woman is going to stop her career to have children, you really have to be careful about what's in that prenup, because you don't really know where you'll be in 20 years. So, you know, sometimes we have to enforce them, and they're really unfair.
Is there such a thing as a pre-divorce a contract of sorts? And specifically, could a spouse have a contract with their soon-to-be ex and then say, look, whenever there's a school function, you can't be there if it's my weekend, and I can't be there if it's your weekend? I would hate that. I mean, to me, if it's a football game or a play or a recital, I think both parents should be there.
Oh, they absolutely should. You know, a couple things. So every divorce will have a parenting plan of some sort if they're children that will not only address who has the children when, but other rules like that if somebody wants to implement them. But those would be rarely approved by a court, because again, the goal is for the parents to ensure the happiness of their children. And so no matter how you think about your soon-to-be ex, if you truly are putting your children first, you'll put on that game face at the game and go together.
If a child is 14, does that child have the right to step in and say they really don't want to split their time up between the parents because they feel they want to be with the one parent that appears, closer to them?
I can't speak to all the states on this, but I can tell you that in many states there's no magic age at which a child's wishes are automatically become the rule of the divorce. So, for instance, a 5-year-old may have input that's valid. A 14-year-old may just decide which parent is going to let them have tattoos or have their boyfriend stay overnight, and that's who they want to be with. So it has to do with the maturity of the child or the truthfulness of the child, and really it comes down to what is best for the child, whether that's what they want or not.
You write about the judge that oversees a divorce. I want you to tell me about the judge from hell, by the way. But first of all, does there always have to be a judge, or can an attorney sit down, or a couple of attorneys sit down with the two people involved and kind of work it out without a judge?
Oh, you want to work it out without a judge, and most of my cases, and most cases, settle without a judge.
Oh, okay.
Because really, there's always an in between. That's the last resort. And why would you, if you have these children the judge has never met, why would you let the judge decide what's going to happen to them? There is almost always a way to get agreements that people can live with and avoid court.
That I love. That is such a good thing to hear. Anybody and I know I don't want you to be looking at the face of divorce, but if you are, that's a very, very positive thing to hear. So just for the sake of entertainment, tell me about the judge from hell.
Well, and I will not name the judge, but there are great judges, but some of them, that's like doctors. You have great doctors, you have bad doctors. I had a judge where we went to court. The judge wouldn't let me put on one of my witnesses, which was a private investigator that had found out that husband had a whole stream of income coming from a different business that he hadn't revealed. And that is, a judge is supposed to let you put on your witnesses. He wouldn't let me put on the witnesses. Then he started cross-examining my client on the stand, which isn't his job. Then he wasn't going to give us enough trial time. Then he told us to come back on Christmas Eve, and it was a disaster. I got rid of him, but we had to start the trial all over.
So can you, as an attorney, never ever go to that judge, or are you stuck with whatever they stick you with? Whoever, I guess. Yeah.
Well, in that particular case, the behavior of the judge was so egregious that I went to the presiding judge and got a different judge assigned to the case. But many times you get a judge. Some states you can get rid of one of the judges assigned to you, but then you get the next one. So you're kind of stuck with whoever you get. And good divorce attorneys know which judges rule which ways many times.
Oh, really? And so if your best friend says to you, who's going to be your judge? And you tell him, and he goes, oh, my gosh, you don't want him. Can he go to you? And I'm guessing this happens a lot, right?
Well, in Arizona, each side can get rid of a judge once for any reason. You don't even have to say the reason. So, pretty quickly, bad judges get a reputation in the community, and many times are struck, we call it striking a judge, by one of the attorneys.
And how do you yourself keep so objective for the betterment of your clients? Because you have to live two lives. You have to live the life of your client, and then when you go home, you have to have your own personal life.
Yeah, you know what? And that's one of the things you learn as a seasoned divorce attorney is that you can care about your clients a lot, but it's not your life. Still, some cases keep me up at night. But it's important that your attorney is objective, because one of the things you're looking for in your attorney is honesty, real honesty with you. And attorneys who adopt too much of their clients' emotions about the divorce do not do their clients service.
Well, again, for the listeners who might be facing divorce, I hope you figure out some way to not go through that. If you're being abused, definitely go through with it. You don't want to be living like that. But if you had a loving relationship, I don't know. I always feel bad. There was a young couple we know that I recently found out is divorced. It was like, oh man, really? They're both so nice. I don't get it. Anyway, it happens, and Angie Hallier had some real, absolutely from my perspective anyway, having gone through it, this is good advice. I wish I had read this book years ago.
And had her as your attorney.
Yeah, I wish my wife had her as an attorney. That's what I wish. The Wiser Divorce by Angie Hallier. Positive strategies for your next best life. Let me give away this copy. If you want it, let me know. I'll leave it for you here. The rest of us have to go buy it. Angie, how do we do that?
Yes, you can go to thewiserdivorce.com, or you can go to Amazon. And at the website for thewiserdivorce.com, we also have some free forms you can download that can help you start planning for your next best life.
Oh, good. Not for your divorce, but for your next best life.
You got
That's
it.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you. You were a fun interview, a very serious and emotionally charged topic, but thank you so much for being on the air with us. And I really do think you've hit it dead on. You've obviously given good, and it is very psychological as well, what you do. So thank you for doing what you do and for being on the air to share it with us.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. President Obama addressing the UN General Assembly in New York City, saying he wants to focus on
whether the nations here today will be able to renew the purpose of the UN's founding and whether we will come together